So we've got a couple of pairs to go over. So I've got a couple of indices, couple of forex, and a couple of stocks that I thought was quite clean. Some were this week, some were the week before. But they all worth backtesting when I had a look at them. So we will crack on with those. We'll start off with AU first. Simply because it was a structured trade. And I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna go too much into it. I think you can look into it for yourself. But essentially what it was, okay, what trade was it, bro? But yeah, essentially we had this low that broke, and then this for me was my lower time frame. So this was maintaining that whole leg. We had this here, that was the SC. We did kind of come into it. We did also get a break, and then we came into it. This was a trade that we took. But it gave us enough. You should. Okay, cool. We'll have a look at that. Yeah, I mean, just from this, we had good of a reason, because when we broke order flow here, definitely break even. Here, definitely pay risk, and take partials was available for us to do that. And then boom, that happened. For me, my break even got hit. It came back. I didn't do anything because we were still maintaining this, but essentially we just went up and then trade through that SC. Then we came into that MC. So this is where I had the limit. So I had a limit waiting there, I believe, for ages. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So okay, on my diary, I put the 10th of January. I had a 0.25 limit set at the MC over here, and it was essentially this. Yeah, the 10th of January. So not too long ago. But I think essentially the moment we traded through that SC, that's when I threw that risk here, and I was looking at 80% of that over here. And then we'll look at how we've traded it this week, how we came into it. I wonder if I've got a point of interest in there. Let me see, so I don't go down. Okay, cool. So essentially, this is what we was doing. We was coming into it. This was last week, and we come into it this week, right? So let me forward it a little bit more. Okay, cool. So now we're here. So this is Monday, Tuesday, and then we come to, I believe, Wednesday. Okay, so there was this one here, Tuesday, right? And then that one, so there it was. Box it up. So for me, this was our distro here, that we was playing out of. This obviously happened the week before, but then the retracement started this week. Now for me, I know we didn't go past that, okay, which is obviously a key area, but so for me the reason why I threw a risk on it was because we was bearish times three, right? So lower time frame, intraday, and high time frame was bearish. When we look at this area here, we have gone through that, okay? And what I also liked was the fact that there was New York session here. New York session, look at the volume that price came into it. Fair enough, it didn't trade through that, but we was with the trend. It was a pro trend trade, so I thought, okay, let me actually throw a little something into this. So I went ahead and I threw threw 0.10% on it, simply because I still had that 0.25 sitting here. So my whole total MC risk is currently at 0.35. So 0.25 at the limit, and then this would be 0.10. This is still under my 0.50 at MCs. And the reason why I left the rest is because if we do get a continuation redistro, then I could get into that, as well as reducing risk and then adding that risk onto that as well. What's up, Adam? Man, you good? So that was why I went ahead and took that here, and we can have a look how it played out and what was my trade management into it. Okay, so before we even get there, what was my credentials? What was I looking at? So just doing a whole fib off that line, and then just measuring off that whole just measuring off that whole New York session in there as well. You could have also gone and then do that because that was that last push up. And then you can see how we was lining up with the 80, the 50 of that New York session, and then the 88.8. So in there is where I was looking at. Now I didn't get into, this was Monday. I didn't do anything Monday. So just after Monday, I threw this in. So when Monday closed, when I was just looking at it, I threw this in, this limit in afterwards. And I've just done it off that 80 right there. And essentially what I did was I was setting. So I've done that to that. And then I've done that 80 to here. So 0.5 here, 0.5 here. And obviously this happened during Asian. And then what happened was when I woke up, which was around 7-ish. Yeah, so around here when I woke up 7, I then had an alert here. I then had an alert here at the bottom just to say Asian low. And that's when I went to reduce risk. Okay, so I reduced risk here and I deleted that order here. And then essentially when we went and we broke this low right here, that's when I went to pay risk. And then this one was when I went to break even. So reduce risk, break even, pay risk, and then this was when I took some more. So after this redistro here is when I took some more partials. And then I had some more partials sitting at there. Okay, this was a kilo that we needed to take care of. Essentially, it didn't happen. So we move on. And then, let's not forget, so I had that limit set from, so I still had this limit set here. So the 1190 was still set here. And this would be my TP1, TP2, and then TP3, and TP4 and 5 would be runners. So that essentially just got collapsed. And then we come into, come into this. This is where we get activated right here. So this is when my MC gets activated. I'm not sure when exactly this was. So this was 25th. So we get activated here. And this was during the Frankfurt Open. I like the fact that we went ahead and we took the Asian highs. And then there was also a micro distro in there. So when that happened, essentially when we took that low, that's when I went and I went to reduce risk. And then when we took this low, I went to break even. And so we could see when that happened here, went to reduce risk, went to break even, and then I took some partials here with this one. And then when that one happened here, and then when this obviously happened, that's when my reduced risk gets hit. And then this is where we was with that lower time frame MC that gets activated in here. And then unfortunately, with the lower time frame, so because I didn't like the fact that we was reaccumulating quite a bit, was reaccumulating here, and obviously look at the buys that was coming in, right? Look at the volume. So when we get activated here, I actually went ahead and I think I took nearly like 80% of the whole volume, and I left the other 20% on reduced risk. And then when I think when we was able to do something like that, I went and I went to break even on that one. So I managed to secure some profits on here because obviously we was in profit here. Not good profit that I would have liked, but at least I managed it in a way that I didn't let this turn into a loss, because as we can see afterwards, lower time frame gets broken. As you can see afterwards, lower time frame gets broken here. Yeah, so this is where we are now, and we go ahead and we trade right through it. And I know now it looks very good, but I'm not convinced that this is the turnaround, especially not after we break that low now anyway. So I'm not gonna touch this, just letting it do its thing, and then we'll come back once when we do something. So, but yeah, that was it. That was the two trade ideas that I took. I managed just to secure, I think, just above 1% on this, because I said this one was low risk, and I didn't actually let my lower time frame run, but I've just started to close it. That was that. Now AUDCAD was a different scenario, and we'll talk about that one as well. So AUDCAD very similar to AU. I'm not sure if anybody called that, but we was also trading inside this leg here. We was trading inside this leg, right? Bunch of continuation. We trade through all of that, and then we've come up here. We come up into our point of interest here. Now, obviously, we also trade through that as well. So let's go back some more. And this is what was called in lower time frame. Okay, and when it was coming up, this is Tuesday. So I looked at this Wednesday morning during Frankfurt Open. And this is what I like. So number one, we took out the this high, as well as taking this high as well. So we took out this Asian high, we took out this Asian high, and this is where Frankfurt is now going into London. And lo and behold, what do we get? We get this nice little distro. Let me just check what. To the 5 minute, I didn't the 5 minute. Okay, yeah, there you go. So the 5 minute was very clean, right? Distro in there, and then you can see this one was very clean. That's our trading range. And then what do we get? What do we need? We need that break. And then there we go. We get that break here. If you're looking at here, or we even get a trade outside of that trading range. So that was it for me. When we saw that, I went ahead and I done that to that. That to that. Just looking for confluence. And what did I have it set? I had it set on. So this is what I had it set on. So it's a bit different on this one. So this was the booth, and then when price done that, and price was coming back, so I found confluence from this low to that high, and then 88% lined up perfectly as well. So this went out through I threw a little bit of risk on that, and then just managed it from there. Oh no, I'm tripping. This is not even it. Sorry guys. Hold on. Let's simplify that. Yeah, there we go. So it was this one. Go and find it. There we go. Right, so we're still the same thing. Now we're still trading inside the structure here, right? And this is a pro trend trade. And again, there's the booth that we need. We take our Asian highs, and then from that to that, we come back into it. So this way I threw some risk. And what I really like about this one was this is a very clean. I thought this one hit all the boxes because when we look at this, when we look at some of the confirmation, when we tick our boxes, let's just say, right? What do we need first things first? Is it trading in a good point of interest? Yes. Is the session time? Is it good session timing? Yes. Do we get the booth that we need? Yes. Do we get the manipulation that we need? Yes. Okay, we can see all these early sellers coming in, and then we went ahead and we took them out. And does it line up with our 50s and our 80s? Yes. So there was all like many reasons for us to get in. Now I didn't personally check imbalance, but we can do that now. If there's imbalance in there, that's obviously even better. From the looks of it, I don't think there is. No, so there's no imbalance, but again, that's second to last, right? It doesn't really matter as much. But anyways, it was very clean, very that to that. And then when the retracement starts, just do that to that. And there you go, X marks the spot. So I was looking. So again, another thing about this was the trade management was super clean. So went to reduce risk here, and that's what we need to wait on. And then essentially I took profit at 10-1, which was around here, around there. And then I took some more profit I think when we took that low. So that was it. There's the clean reaction that we like to get. And then there my loan goes off. So break even at least in this case. And then when that 10-1 happens, go ahead and we take some. So there we go. We take that partials. And I believe we actually run because I remember my low going off. I think we run that low, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. So I remember my long going off, and then we run that low there as well, which is where I took some more partials. So I've done it differently because I think 2 weeks ago or something I was running. Hold on. Right. 2 weeks ago, I think on my challenge, I had some loss. I was in drawdown, so I think the first risk paid was actually covering this risk, and then covering my losses as well. And then this one would be the true partial take, if that makes sense. And then yeah, so unfortunately, this one it didn't do what we needed to do. This was the CAD news, I believe. Yeah, this was the CAD news that happened, and it just traded through, and then break even got hit there, unfortunately. And then afterwards, there was nothing else that we could do because what happens? We go ahead and we trade above, so that's it. Any sales for me is now invalid because we trade above the line in the sand. So that was that. Again, this is a clean price action. When I looked at this, it was very clean. There was absolutely no reason why we shouldn't take it really. Why we should hesitate to take it even though it gave us, well, in terms of pip wise, that was only 60 pips, where you could see there was definitely 10-1 in there. Okay, so that was that. Now, NZDCHF was also kind of similar. But this one for me was I was a little bit more hesitant on it, and reason being was because we didn't get the breaks that we needed. So let's look at it. Again, I'm not going to do a top down just because we've got quite a bit to go over. But when I looked at this, so essentially when we look at this, right, look at where we traded, look at our point of interest. We've got our redistro here, redistro, right? This is what's holding that lower time frame leg in there, right? This is holding that whole thing. And then we're coming up in a schematic phase here. We've got our accumulation, we've got our reaccumulation, and then following the market cycles, we've got this distro in here. So we're looking at this as a potential, again, accumulation. There's the ice, a whole redistro to either now make a new leg, make a new cycle, or to really just turn that into thing. But we need that to break, or we need that to break for us to know whether we're going to be a buyer market or seller's market. But right now, the only thing, the hesitation that came in was what was the cause and what was the effect. So given the fact that we have traded into this supply zone here, right? And okay, fair enough, we do get some micro boosts. We do take out some demand, but we haven't taken out this reaccumulation, which for me was kind of I couldn't shake that basically. So that was point of interest number one. Sorry, problem number one essentially. Problem number two was, again, when we look at this, not only this distribution escorted price into this demand zone, but what the hell did we do? We accumulated again. So that was problem number two, was we accumulated inside the demand zone. So now when we're coming up into this new market cycle now, where this is accumulation, there's a reaccumulation, and then now we're getting into distribution phase, I'm somewhat thinking this distribution is very weak. Okay, because look at where we're coming from, right? So this, for all we know, this distribution could all be just a profit taking inside this leg here. So then I said, okay, cool. If it's clean, then we'll trade it. And so that's why I didn't have this limit. Because when we look at this limit in here, it was very clean. So when we go back up in here, right, when we look at this UTAD here, this bad boy, we just do that to that. Look at this, because again, this is a Tuesday, this is New York session. This is our 80%. London, sorry, New York. And then this is our 50%. Okay, as I said, we definitely can see the distribution in here, right? Very clean manipulation in here. We can see the distribution, but then the other thing is, well, what has it done? We can see, as I said, we can see it hasn't traded through that, and we can see the accumulation that it happens here. Now, whether this is true or not, I'm not sure, but again, that's not the point. The point is the fact that we haven't traded through that yet of this distribution. So we come into it. Can we in sales for what? NZDCHF? Yeah. So yeah, same thing, because as I said, you know, when we look at where we have traded, we're still getting signs of sellers, but at the same time we're still getting signs of buyers, if that makes sense. So if I were to draw it out, let me see. So if I were to draw it out like that, I guess, right? So we've got sellers here, supply zone. We've got buyers here. right? And then now we're coming up. So this for me, as I said, same thing here. I'm still looking for sales as well, because when we look at this market cycle again, we can because we can see when we look at accumulation, reaccumulation. This is what's still for me holding that. This is just a bunch of reaccumulation. Is that making sense? So it's not. It's still what's maintaining that. So for me to for me to validate a limit, it would have needed to be that break, and then essentially this happens here. Then we do that. That for me would have been 100%. But the reason why I didn't have a limit was because it didn't do that. We come into this. Now I don't know if we come into like maybe come about 50% of that. So nonetheless, again, I was looking at a micro in here. And kind of get it as well. So this was that NZD news, and then this is where I guess you could have offset it, because you could have put that 50 to that 80 here, and then that 80 to stop loss here. And then if you did that, again, price gave you enough. Like when this happened here, going to definitely reduce risk, break even, and when that, take partials, number one, and then when obviously this happened in here, whichever. But now now I'm actually looking for this inside, and then we're coming up. So maybe next week when we clear this again, I've got my alert here. When we clear this Asian high, and then somehow we come into this inside this news, inside this leg. This I'm not looking at this because this we traded through that, right? It's getting messy now. Yeah, so it's getting we traded through that. So essentially, I'm looking into this. We see if we can get something in here to really take it down. That's my only sell opportunity. But then again, it needs to be a really clean micro. Not nothing like nothing like this as well. Like I would want the UTAD to be in a good session, and basically anything like that UCAD. Sorry, that ACAD. That ACAD was really good. So anything like that, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, something I would look at. And then again, in terms of target wise, so I would really look to take this out, and then we take this whole leg out to make that redistribute that next phase. I hope that makes sense. So that's why I'm looking. Oops. Do it again, bro. I'll be hedging to reaccumulation. Into there. Yeah. And what's your purpose? So just in case we run through this. Yeah, sure. This is in mind. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Yeah. This is 100 pips, and then again, just to go make a new high. Well, 100 pips down would obviously be 100 pips ups as well. But just to go and make this new high would be 170 odd pips or so. So yeah, I agree. And then you'll be hedged in, so there will be no problem at all. Okay, cool. So that was NCHF for this week. Again, a bit of a frustration, not clean, but that's why for me I didn't have that limit. And then again, I was looking for redistros, but I just didn't get any. Unfortunately. There was a little something in here. This morning, but I needed it to, so where this happened, instead of this being below this, if this was above and then we went and we made this new low, this would have been valid for you or something. Because we are trading at a premium, so this could be the start to something. But if he wants to keep going higher, no problem. I just need to be more patient, which is fine. But yeah, so that was NZDCHF. And again, if I don't get anything, so that's my plan of, so my plan of attack number one would be to come up into here, look for a distro. Plan of attack number two would be to obviously look for the continuation in here, whilst also taking this will be key. If we don't get any of that, my third option would be to wait for this low, whichever, what was the cause of it, come back to it, and then trade here. So, and then I think at that point, then I'll do the same thing as you, but I would hedge in here. Yeah. Cool. So that was NZDCHF. Now let's go over to some indices. So we've got this bad boy here. Okay. So let's see. Again, lower time frame. I'm not gonna do a full top down. But look at this. This was clean, right? So there's the low. So there's the, okay. So there's the low, and then once we find our leg, we go ahead and we look for our point of interest. So this is our slingshot. Again, we have traded through it. No, sorry, we haven't traded through it. This is our slingshot here, and this is our MC here. There it shows. Okay, now look at how price comes into it very nicely. So okay, so we make a new leg, we accumulate, come into here. Now here, so actually, okay. So we make a new leg, we accumulate, and then we reaccumulate, we come back into the bearish slingshot. And what do? We distribute. But not only that, we actually go ahead and we make a new low. Distribution has got some calls behind it. So now this has got my interest. So we distribute and then we accumulate, we're coming up. So this accumulation brings us into this point of interest here that traded inside the slingshot that caused the break. Okay, so now that gets us to go to lower time frame. And what does this sucker do when we come into it? Look at that. Distro. Okay. And again, just look at that UTAD. There's the 50, there's the 80. And then when I get the retracement will start, then I'll throw the Fibbo, and then I'll look at where we traded. So it's still doing the run. Again, I'm liking the volume behind it after we tap into that point of interest. Right, so again, we have maintained this as well. This is where we have maintained. Okay, so now we're getting some bullish momentum coming in. I'm gonna throw my Fibbo and I'm gonna see if we get any premium. So I like the fact that we've got that 50 and that 80 right there. We could actually offset it as well. So we could do that 50 to that 80. And then we could do that 80 to here. Okay, so there's no reason why I shouldn't throw a limit in this, because again, we are bearish. We've traded in the area, we've got distribution, we've broken the order flow, and now we're coming back to mitigate. So essentially, so we've got a limit here. And how I'll do this, I'll do 0.10 here and I'll do 0.10 here. because my SCs are 0.25 in total, and then I would leave 0.05 for distribution, a micro in there. So we're coming up. This is, so that's Friday. This is coming up to Monday now. Okay, so we come into here. So this is Monday. Now this is where my alert would go off, and I would go to lower time frame. But then we also get this. So number one, we didn't quite come into our 50%, I believe. Yeah, we missed it. Oh no, we did. We come into it. Okay, we have come into it. So our 50% is here. There. All right. So okay, so 50% gets activated. This is what I would have needed for me to go to reduce risk. So we're currently on reduce risk on this one. And this is where I would go to take some partials, and then somewhere down here is where we could look to take some more partials or something. But now that we're coming up, now that we're coming up into this, so now my next point of interest for me to look at is this area here. Okay, so I like that 80, and I like the fact that we'll be taking this Asian high to do it. So whatever risk I did, I'm obviously gonna reduce here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 0.05 from here. I'll still leave 0.05 on here, and when I will delete it is when we'll go ahead and we make this low. So when we go and make this low, I'll delete this one. So I'm gonna borrow 0.05 from that, and then I'm gonna add, and then whatever I reduce on here, I don't know, let's just say we reduce 0.02, and I'll throw it on here. So I'll be 0.07. And again, we're looking to take this out in here. Your okay, so now we just have to wait. Okay, it doesn't come. What is it? So there you go. Right now, when I looked at this, so with me when this year, so this is where I had it on 1893. Right, that's where I had it on with my broker, and on that 80 here. And then again, I'll offset that one there. Now, the reason I still left that on was because this Asian high was still intact. So I was hoping it's something like that would happen, whereby the next morning we'll get this kind of same price action into here, but we didn't get that. Well, this is what we got. And then this again was never clean distro. We can see that. So but unfortunately there was no re-entry that I could see on this one. There's our trading range, definitely get that UTAD. But for me, we needed that break here. When we do get that break, we actually come into this. So this is the break that we needed. And when we do get that break, we don't come deep enough into this, which was annoying, very annoying. But then at the same time, if you look at the timing as well, right? I didn't even know we got activated up until the next morning. So your blue boxes indices open or start of? It's the start of it because yeah, so 1 o'clock is the start of it. So when I woke up, it was actually somewhere here, around, yeah, 7 o'clock ish. That's when I woke up, and then again when we took out, I was trying to look for a distro in here, but we couldn't find anything. And then when we went done that, that's when I because I wasn't here to manage any of this. That's when I went to break even straight away. Took some partials here, definitely took some partials after making this new low here. And then we was coming into this. So now this is sitting at is about 6-1. This one was the better one. So I definitely took some partials around that 10-1. And then I'll just leave in the runners to run. And I think unfortunately after that it just got clapped. Yeah. You can see it just got clapped and then we traded right through it. Nothing I was trying to watch in here because again this was the play for me. And the UTAD did happen, but it traded bit above it. And at this point, I'm not looking to do anything because obviously we traded through, well, we haven't traded through it yet, but I mean, think about all this time that they've come into it. Once, twice, this one, and this one. I don't think that, okay, they're gonna do that now. I think we're coming up into the extreme. So this was a nice 10-1 in here as well. This was very good. This was a 6-1 and then a 10-1 on this trade. Very, very clean. Cool. Any questions on this? Yeah, yeah. So all good. And again, session timing made sense. We had the volume as well with it, which is good. Okay, and then so now I'll get some stocks. I think Thomas would have got kicked out of this one, but let's look at where this is, right? So okay, I remember, yeah, we was doing a back test on this previously. This was last year. Yeah, March last year. When price came into our slingshot, our intraday slingshot here, we can see the accumulation happen, we can see the booth, and this was the trade. Again, do you trade? Yes, I do that. I do funds. I do quite a bit actually. I do. That, uh, that, and that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So essentially, we traded through the slingshot, and that got clapped. Right. You can see the accumulation got clapped here. But again, it was good in a sense of trade management. We had the 50s and 80s all in line in here. So that was a good back test. And then essentially all we had to do was wait for price to come into our MC because this is our leg. This is our whole leg. So, and what do? We come right into that freaking 80. But not only that, look at this. Look how we come into it. So 80, alerts. Yeah, well, I've already used 100 and 105. I mean, look, you can see my alerts going off all the time. Do I have any actives? Let me see. These are all my actives, so what do I've got, yeah, so all commodities, oil, that's the stock that I'm looking at. US 30, that's another stock. So look for buys, bullish both or bearish both, bearish both, just waiting for those. There's another bullish both, there's PCT there, bullish both, looking to 50%, look for buys. There's some REITs in there as well. And there's obviously EJ, Bitcoin, bullish move. There is another one. So AJ Bell, look for buys. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we come into it, and what do we get? Well, we don't really get a type 1, but we do get a type 4. Oops. The way that this is coming, we do get a type 4, and there's our manipulation, there's the break that we need, and lo and behold, oops, lo and behold, there we go. So we could definitely see the volume after this one. We could see them coming in. I like the fact that this was a Thursday, so my grey box is a Thursday session. New York in here, and again, look at the sessions, right? So no reason. Again, we're trading off that 80 as well. So this is inside the extreme, inside the 80 Thursday New York session, and there it is. We get the booth. So 50 would have tapped you in, 80 wouldn't. And how we trade manage this again? When we make that high, I will delete this because this is what's holding that new leg now. And then off we go. So there you are there. So there's that break. And then when we make that new break, that's when we take some partials or something. Yeah, so on this break here, we'll take some partials. And then this was an opportunity that we was looking at. So this was an opportunity that I was looking at. Again, it didn't quite come deep enough because when we done that to that, it didn't. This was the reaccumulation going into. So when we look at this, you know, this our accumulation, our reaccumulation, our distribution, and this was the shakeout. The shakeout, as you can see, let me make this clean. There you go. So it doesn't come into that 50, it doesn't come into our 80. But hell, if it did, man, this was again New York Thursday 50 or 80. I'm happy as Larry. I'm happy as Larry on this one here. And yeah, when I was looking at this was shame, such a shame. Anyways, happy days on this one. And again, once that reaccumulation gets confirmed, boom. But yeah, this one, I didn't. This was the only play that I would look at. This was Friday, so I didn't look at this one. But now I've got my alert here, and I would have had my alert inside this here for next week. But essentially, we just traded through, and then off we went. There was this hedge opportunity in here because when we look at this, this was our redistro, and then look, we come into this, but I didn't get into that. And I'm just going to fast forward down. Essentially, price that we don't come back, and we're now, I believe, currently trading inside this. That that 52. I wonder if that is the 50. Sorry, that 50 to 1 would be sitting around 60 to 1, which is good. Do you implement fundamentals? No, so I look at this should just go so here use BBC Business. So for example, I think I was reading this like Rolls Royce, right? So I read up and see how they're doing, and then like even we had Rolls Royce that we was looking at. I think we've done some backtests on Rolls Royce before, but like yeah. So when I was looking at this, so this is where I was. This is where I was waiting on. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get clean enough of an accumulation inside here. But the reason why I was looking at was because obviously traded there. You can see our accumulation, reaccumulation going into distro. So we'll be looking for an accumulation here. We are getting the signs, but maybe it will just be a continuation play rather than play inside the 80 because that's where I really wanted it. But yeah, it's like a bit of both. Like what I guess what Mike is teaching us to do right now. So, and then like you could see. So for example, I know it says here like yeah, look. So you can see what they do, right? Because they do Airbuses, they do Boeing 787. So not only are they a car manufacturer, but they also do airplanes and stuff and defense. So it's like you gotta read up a little bit into what they do and then whether they're worth it or not. So cool. Yeah, let's go do that. So yeah, so that was that. That was the right move here. Again, that was a clean one. Now this one was even beautiful. You ready? Check this bad boy out. Clean, 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 clean. The 80. There's a 41 there, but um 80, and then you could also do so how I don't know was that to that. So we could see this was definitely thing. And I guess we could have also offset it, do that to that, because again we need to look at what this is as well, and then do this one to that. It all depends on obviously how you like. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what this took just for it to come back to test 225 days, 23 days. So a bunch of STs over here. No, I think we'll do it. I want to do better. Spot trading range there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right, bro. 100%. We look at that as well. Very clean. Um, very clean. Yeah, you're right. Good eyes. 100% good eyes. Just trying to label this so I can put this in a chat and then you guys can save it. This is definitely fridge worthy. Yeah, that's it. I don't think I'm missing anything else, am I? Just put the booth here because that's the booth that we would have needed. And what if we do full volume plan? Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything else, am I? I know some people might do this as well. Yeah, whichever way lines up. Cool. And then we're getting that obviously that reaccumulation phase in here, and this will be your backup to go up. So cool. I'll drop down, I'll put that in there. Yeah, 100%. Let's go into this. You're absolutely right. There is a little buy button in there. Go ahead and delete that. Yeah, look at this, huh? See if we can find anything as well. Thank you, Mark. 2. Oh, that 36 was good. Keep your 36 in. Yep. Okay, so yeah, micro inside there, 100%. And I personally would have needed that to break. Got 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, and then there's our 4th drive there. So there's that, and I think if you can even do, because this was the whole session, see if you run any confluence in there. I would have done that to this, and that to this. Yeah. Let's see. And then if that don't work, wait for the booth, and then we'll just play the continuation, and then there we go. Sucker comes right into that. Yeah, right into that. I wonder if that's because of my. Oh, it does come into it. Comes into it Friday though, which is a bit of a shame. But it's hold. There's our 21. Yep. Do we get that? There we go. Trade right through it. I wonder if there's any continuation. So we'll have to wait until we trade through that and see if we can get something in here. Let's see. Okay, so we trade through it. Do we get a pullback and then potential? Okay, so kind of interest. I'm still looking for somewhere in here. I guess if we were to. Yeah, somewhere around there we can see that is that 80 where that 80 lines up. Do we have any confluence with this? Yeah, it was just where the 80 is. So that's why I'll be waiting I don't think we kind of get that. Just maybe right now, video. No. Okay. We'll wait for that high to get taken, make that the whole reaccumulation, and then we'll come back. But I mean, it kind of came back. There's a valid pullback here, just up to that 50%, but not to that 80. But yeah, nice micro in there inside this whole thing. So opportunity number one, opportunity number two, for sure. Delete that one. That's your 11 to 1 where you're currently seeing that. And we'll drop that as well. Yeah, I believe that's everything. Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to go. So again, this didn't happen this week, kind of happened last month. This also happened last month as well. Actually October. And Chef was this week, this was this week, this was this week, this was this week. There was also a new, which we can look at. And again, very similar to NChef, I didn't like NU for two reasons. We didn't break and we broke, if that makes sense. So whereas AU, we didn't break for AU here, but here NU we did. And then when we look at this, we broke here, but we never actually took out anything in here. We accumulated right into this reaccumulation phase. And then now we can see the effects of it, right? We can see this whole thing turns into reaccumulation. But there was inside here, there was a nice entry. And I'm personally going to journal it as missed because, well, that's what it was. It was missed. For me, it wasn't clean. But there was this one, and then there was this one. It was crazy. So doing the whole thing. Okay, cool. Again, so there's this one here. Now, depending on whether you've done this, you would have got stopped out, but this was the news that happened. So I personally, again, there was no limit was set simply because we didn't break, right? We didn't make that break here. Okay. So this was a good, this definitely came into the point of interest, but then we got this, right? We got this distro, this AUDCAD. It broke, but then again we failed to break this sucker. Okay, but was maintaining the lowest form of leg is this, and we broke that. So when we was coming back, guess what we come back to? And absolutely there was no reason why even low risk we couldn't have put a low risk. Guess what? This sucker comes right into that 80 on a Thursday in New York session. Okay, something like 12 pips is I mean you could have again offset it. So find what's in there, but I personally didn't. We can do that in a minute. But I don't know, maybe something in there stopped that. And then technically went to a 4-1 before it comes around. And trades inside here as well. Even this, there was something inside. It was just that to that, and we'll come into that again. This was session time, so definitely not gonna trade that one. But yeah, this was that, and then definitely go to reduce risk, break even, take opportunity, whatever. That you could have. But for me, when I looked at everything, it was definitely had cleaner plays, and yeah, it made sense, but no, I wasn't willing to risk anything on this, unfortunately. So it's one of those days where you have to just sit down. Sometimes it can be a hard thing, but sit down definitely. Now we can definitely see this ice being created. So if we can get some sort of like shakeout and then come down, bang on the money here. Ideally, if we miss that, wait for this to break, and then we come back. Okay, so that was pretty much all of them that we kind of carried on with. Let me see. Yeah, that was pretty much all I saw. Cool. What we'll do is I'll close this off and then we can have a one-to-one conversation, bro.